All right, Joey, who's our first team? Who are we breaking down?
All right, we are tackling the AFC East reigning champion, Buffalo Bills. That's right. They had a great season in 2020, made it all the way to the AFC Championship game. And let's talk quarterback, Josh Allen. What more needs to be said about Josh Allen from last season?
Yeah, QB2 last year on the season, or maybe finishes as QB1. I can't remember.
I think he was. He was one actually. Pretty sure.
I can't see him falling out of the top 5 again this year, so I think he's another shoe-in for a great season. Just he's got all the tools. He can get it done in the air. He can run. Great fantasy quarterback.
Yeah, I 100% agree. He is one of the top fantasy options that you're looking for. His ADP is, I think, around the 4th or 5th round right now. A lot of questions came out before the season of is Josh Allen going to be able to pass the ball as efficiently as he should, everything, and his passing stats lit it up. It was great. And if we want to talk, do we need to talk a whole lot about Josh Allen? Are you looking at Josh Allen in your drafts? I know a lot of people tend to look at QBs late. Josh Allen is certainly not one of those quarterbacks. So
yeah, that's actually interesting. No, if you're gonna take a quarterback that early, I think you go with the top guy, Patrick Mahomes. Otherwise, I think you wait later, pick up Rodgers, and I think Rodgers going in like the 7th. I think that's a better price. So I'm actually not targeting him in my drafts. How about you?
He's interesting. He's very interesting because the only question is, would he be able to replicate his success from last year? And he put up, terrific numbers. I think he gets very close. And he probably still finishes as a top 5 fantasy quarterback. But, if you draft a quarterback early, that takes away depth from other pieces of your team. And I think you're right. Mahomes is the only real lock to get a ton of fantasy. Look at Lamar Jackson last year. He had a historic season. And you drafted him in the 3rd, 2nd round in some drafts.
Yeah, I think he went as high as the 2nd.
And he very well disappointed you. So I'm not saying that's going to happen with Josh Allen, but I think I'm with you on that. I'd probably rather wait if I don't get Mahomes. Do we want to talk running backs right here? Because
it's tough, but might as well, right?
Yeah, might as well. So right now it's kind of tough to choose between Devin Singletary and Zach Moss in the Buffalo backfield. Both of them shined at points. Both of them stunk at points. Do you want either of these guys on your team?
Zach Moss, I do not want on my team because he is being... Right now, his ADP is kind of high. He's going a lot higher than Singletary. And
it's the touchdown upside because he's the goal line back.
Was he, though? It didn't even seem like that last year to me.
The first back is Josh Allen. If we're gonna be right here.
Yeah, Josh Allen is the goal line back, but Singletary, yes. He's listed as a starter on the depth chart. He got more carries than Zach Moss last year, and everyone was saying Zach Moss is going to take this job from him. When in actuality, Singletary held the job for the most part, and Moss kind of worked into that sometimes. Not a super productive season for Singletary, but Singletary's going in the really late rounds, and I don't think that's a bad idea to pick him up with one of those 3 last picks for the starting running back for the Bills.
Yeah, so to look at it right now, Moss's ADP is 709, and Singletary is only 812. So
really, he's 812.
Yeah, I have seen him go later in mock drafts, and obviously the later a player goes, the better value they are, most cases. And the touchdown upside could be there for Zach Moss, but he was the rookie last year. Singletary was I guess you could say proven,
Mm-hmm.
more than Moss. So they subtly worked Moss in, but I don't know if I really want either. The good thing is you're not going to use them as your RB1 and probably not your RB2 either. So as an RB3, there could be worse options out there.
I probably want these guys on my bench more than in my starting lineup.
Yeah, but even then, it's still a matchup play. You got to wait for the right matchup, and even then, it still could be dangerous. I'm not a fan of really either. It doesn't sound like you really are either.
No.
But as decent depth pieces, both should be serviceable. Is that fair to say?
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, enough about them. Let's talk wide receivers. And I think one of the biggest trades last offseason was Stefon Diggs going from Minnesota to Buffalo. And what a season Stefon Diggs had. I think he finished as the wide receiver, was it 2 or 3 last year?
Yeah, definitely top 3, I want to say.
Mm-hmm. Either way, he led the league in receptions. He had an incredible season. He had, 8 touchdowns? Yeah, 8 touchdowns, 1,500 yards. I mean, monster season for Stefon Diggs. He's currently behind Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill, if you want to talk about drafting. And if you draft Stefon Diggs, are you going 0 RB or
Where is he going exactly? Back of the first, beginning of the second?
Yes, ADP is 201 right now.
So if you're drafting him, that means you have that last pick in the first round. I would not mind going Najee Harris and Stefon Diggs to start off your draft with 1 and 2. That'd be a great running back, wide receiver punch.
Is Najee Harris going that high?
112, yeah.
Is that really his ADP?
Last mock draft I did.
Wow, man. So right now I'm seeing his ADP.
Are you using Sleeper or NFL?
Sleeper.
For your ADPs? Sleeper. Okay, I was using NFL mock drafts.
Okay. Well, his ADP is about 310 is what I'm seeing.
Sleeper, wow.
So, obviously potential's there for Najee, but we're not talking about Najee. We're talking about Diggs. No. Let's get off of that. Stefon Diggs, if you take him as your wide receiver 1, he will perform for you. He is the main target in that offense. I don't see how he has any. Will he have a better season than last year? Maybe. But I think he probably won't.
That was probably his ceiling last year, but I don't see his floor much less than that either. I don't see any drastic changes from last year.
Right, I agree. Diggs will be great for fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can also talk about a little bit Cole Beasley, the Beasles right now.
Ooh.
He had a pretty nice season last year. 4 touchdowns, almost 1,000 yards, 967 on 82 receptions. Is Cole Beasley one of those, I guess, sleeper picks for you?
Not me.
Yeah.
His ceiling, and it's about as high as it was. The stats you just read off, that's his ceiling. And
yeah.
I'm targeting guys who have high upside in my drafts. I'm not taking conservative safe pick Cole Beasley.
I mean, I think there's potential there. I would definitely look at him. His ADP right now is 1301. So he's definitely a later round guy that is on a productive offense. I'd be willing to take a shot with Beasley. I'm not expecting him to be number 1, but he's had these games before where he gets you, a nice 20-point game just based on receptions alone. So
if you're
PPR
playing,
formats.
yeah, that's what I was about to say. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, PPR formats. That's the key for Cole Beasley. Standard league, I don't know if I would really look at him. Obviously, Diggs will have more value there, but Beasley's not bad. Do we want to talk any about Dawson Knox, tight end for the Bills?
Is anyone drafting him?
I do not think so. I really do not think so. So we probably don't need to talk about him, but we can talk a little bit about the defense. Last season, Buffalo's defense was pretty productive. They were about a top 10 unit a few weeks, but looked like the back half, the secondary, outside of what's his name? Tre'Davious White. It was a little suspect at times, but they were still a solid defense. Are there someone you're looking at in your drafts?
Yeah, they're always a good fantasy defense. I think they'd be good again this year. That's not a bad team to start off the season with. And look at their division. I mean, young quarterbacks, kind of these teams in rebuild mode. Not a bad. They're the most experienced team. They're the best team in the AFC East right now, and they play each of these teams twice a year. It's not a bad. It's not a bad team to place your bets with.
Yeah, I agree. They are playing a lot of younger, more inexperienced quarterbacks. New England still has Cam Newton, which we'll get to them in a minute. But yeah, they're probably a good defense. If you don't play every week, they're not a bad defense. Just to if you're a deeper league and you want to hold the defense, they're not bad to hold.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.